Hi, this is Jeff Henderson, and I want to thank you for viewing this webcast on Cinch. If you're like most people, you've been on your share of diets, and you've either struggled to keep the weight off or you've gained it right back, only to try another diet later. This is known as the dreaded diet cycle, and you're about to learn specifically why diets don't work and the secret to safe, sustainable weight loss. This webcast you're about to view was recorded last year. Listen as Dr. Jamie McManus, a leading expert in health and nutrition, describes Cinch, Shaklee's new Inch-loss program, and the new and exciting research out of UCLA that inspired it. Cinch is different. It's the first and only weight loss product clinically proven to promote safe and very effective weight loss without the slowing of your metabolism. At the end of the presentation, I have a very special offer for you, so be sure to stick around. I'll see you on the other side.
Hello, I'm Rod Larkin, and on behalf of everyone at Shaklee Corporation, I would like to welcome you to our Shaklee broadcast. We're going to be talking about a wonderful product line that Shaklee has to offer called Cinch. And what I'd like to do right now before we get started, I have a little personal testimony of my own that I'd like to share with you. I actually was introduced to Shaklee 28 years ago, and I've been using Shaklee products for 28 years now. Perhaps many of you here on this presentation will be able to relate to this. Over the years, I have gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. I've been a classic yo-yo dieter. Well, about 2 years ago, I received a call from a friend of mine at Shaklee and asked me if I would be willing to participate in a test study group to test a new product line that Shaklee was going to be launching. And I said, sure, I would like to lose some weight. So I joined that test study group. I used these products that you're going to hear about and learn about here in this broadcast. And in 5 months, I was able to lose 40 pounds and 29 inches. But here's the really cool thing. That was a year and a half ago, and every weight loss program, diet program I've ever been on in the past, within a few months, 6 to 12 months, I always put all the weight back on and perhaps then some. Well, that was a year and a half ago that I lost that 40 pounds and 29 inches, and here's the really cool thing for me. I have kept off nearly all of that weight. Just put a few pounds back on, but I have maintained my weight, and I've never done that before. So we have something really exciting to share with you. And to share this information and get started, what I would like to do is introduce our next guest speaker, which is Dr. McManus. She is the Chairman, Medical Affairs, Health Sciences, and Education for Shaklee Corporation. So at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. McManus.
Thanks so much, Rod, and hello to everyone tonight joining us. We're really excited to be able to share with you all the information we have tonight. We have some great guests that are going to help us achieve that goal. Well, that's great to start this webcast with Rod's testimonial, because in reality, as a physician, certainly my greatest concern in dealing with the obesity epidemic is really not just helping people lose weight, because clearly there's thousands of diets out there that can help people lose weight, that work at some fashion for a few days, a few weeks, but just as Rod has said, most people live on this dieting cycle, which is, as we refer to it, a yo-yo dieting cycle. And our goal was to create something that would allow people to not only lose that weight in a more healthful fashion to protect their metabolism, but also to be able to maintain that weight loss, because the product line would be something that they could incorporate into their lives. So tonight, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. But we dial back to 1980, and when only 35% of Americans were overweight. Now that was a little bit concerning for people, because in reality, this was kind of a wake-up call to the health world, to the medical institution, because there were clearly some health conditions, diseases that were associated as people seemed to gain weight. And in this past 25 to 30 years, we've seen a proliferation of weight loss programs, a proliferation of weight loss products, and essentially an amazing amount of money having been spent, $160 billion in just the last year alone. And what has happened? What has happened in this 27 years with these hundreds of diets and billions of dollars and just months and months of heartache for people, as well as financial ruin for some people in trying to gain control of their weight. And what we see, in today's world is almost 70% of Americans, 7 out of every 10 Americans are overweight to obese. Approximately 40% of Americans are medically obese. which is really quite scary. The map you see is essentially from 2004, and so actually we have no blue states left. They're all red states, and we're not talking about Republican and Democrat. We're talking about very overweight to obese people who are medically at risk. And just how at risk are you from carrying some extra weight? Well, essentially, if you are overweight to obese, 2 out of 3 of you need to lose weight for health reasons. And in reality, 1 out of 2 of you who are overweight will actually die prematurely as a result of your weight, of being overweight. So this is a serious health consequence, death. But here's all of the health consequences that go along with it. There are a mountain of them. This is a Mount Rainier, and it really lists all of the conditions. Obviously, some of these are things that lead to premature death, but also tremendous disability and financial ramifications for our society. Stroke, hypertension, osteoarthritis, diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is an epidemic out of control. We now have 25 million diabetics in the United States. That's expected to at least double in the next 20 years. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death. We're working towards, in our treatment side of the equation, helping people live with these conditions longer. People have a perpetuation of their life, certainly, but we're not decreasing the likelihood or the prevalence or the incidence of people developing these conditions. So certainly, we're very concerned about that. And when we look at the financial cost, just look at those numbers. And again, these are big numbers. None of us can really fathom those numbers, but if you dial that down to what each individual person is paying, we're all paying higher insurance costs, we're paying higher pharmacy costs, we're paying higher doctor visit costs. Everything has gone up, as well as other things that are related to the cost of health care. So 1995, just 12 years ago, $99 billion. 10 years later, it's practically doubled at $160 billion. It's expected with the baby boomers aging, with the incidence of obesity increasing, with the incidence of type 2 diabetes on the rise, type 2 diabetes being one of the primary drivers of coronary artery disease, that the projections for the cost of obesity in just the United States, and these are just U.S. numbers, could be as high as $1 trillion in 2020. So it's actually pretty frightening, pretty overwhelming. So really, it tells us there's a mission. There really is a mission. And when you think about the mission, thinking about what we would call the intangible cost of obesity, and some of these start with just being a little overweight. A lot of women in particular can have gained 5-10 pounds and really be very upset with themselves and have, the day-to-day quality of their life very much decreased, even by carrying a little extra weight related to self-esteem. And then, of course, as weight increases, we definitely deal with the reality of social discrimination. And then, of course, just the physical limitations that people have as a result of being overweight and having the health consequences of arthritis, such as they can't walk because their knees hurt or ankles hurt so bad or their hips hurt so bad, or they have high blood pressure and they're on medications that make them feel dizzy all the time. There's complications that sometimes you don't even really think about it. So everyone who's listening into the call tonight, I hope that even whether you're an overweight person or not, you can think of all the hundreds and hundreds of people that you will meet, that you know now or that you meet in the coming years, that you may very well be able to change their lives as a result of having a solution. Now, before we really get to the solution, we need to kind of talk about why it is that most diets fail. We've talked about the thousands and thousands of diets out there. And, of course, what we're talking to you about tonight is not a diet. I wouldn't ever want this called a diet because diet to me is a 4-letter word, and most people refer to it in kind of that fashion where it's something that they're really unhappy about and it's something that they're going to do for some short period of time because they somewhat have to. But it's not something that they're incorporating into their being because it's really something that they want that's very positive. So, and why is it that people have such a negative connotation of diets? Well, because most diets fail, and most diets fail because most diets out there, most diet programs are nutritionally inadequate. You don't feel good while you're on them. They're very difficult to follow. They interfere with your life. People get frustrated because the results may be too slow. And even more so, there's a lot of unsafe ingredients out there that actually can harm people's health. There are products that have been marketed and prescription drugs that have been created that have even had to be taken off the market because people died of terrible complications. So certainly you want to be very careful about choosing a program that you know is very healthy, very nutritionally sound, and will not feed into exactly what Rod talked about at the top of the webcast, and that is this yo-yo dieting effect, which leads to people losing weight, gaining weight, and every time you go on a diet, it seems like it's a little bit harder to lose that weight, and it seems to be a little bit easier to come back on. And why is that? And that is absolutely because of what we call this vicious diet cycle, which we referred to a couple of times tonight, and let me just walk you through that real quickly. Basically, when you go on a weight loss program of any sort, well, essentially, other than what we're going to talk to you about tonight, your body kicks in with something called the famine response. And your body is programmed, our bodies are programmed to sense that we're cutting down the calories, and our body wants to protect our energy sources because our body doesn't know how long that famine is going to last. And over time, humans have definitely acquired this ability to protect, unfortunately, our most dense energy sources, which is our body fat. And so our body will actually let go of muscle equally to fat. And in fact, it may even preferentially let go of muscle mass and hold on to the body fat. So what happens is you're on whatever program you're on, whatever diet you're on, you then are going to lose some of your lean muscle mass. Muscle equals metabolism. Your metabolism is essentially determined by your lean muscle mass. So if you lose 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle in the course of being on a diet, then you are going to be burning less calories than you were at the beginning of the diet. And so at some point you get tired of being on whatever that diet is. It's a Snickers diet, which is the Halloween diet, I guess, coming up. It's the popcorn diet, the grapefruit diet, whatever, the air diet, whatever diet you may be on. You go back to your old eating habits, and unfortunately, that usually means people are increasing their calories. Pretty much we can plan on that 100%. And because you've dropped your metabolism a few points to several hundred points, it's much easier to regain the weight, and you don't regain the muscle mass, you regain it as body fat. Well, you cycle through this a few times or dozens of times, as many people have done, and you have a shrinking metabolism and an increasing body fat, you're looking bigger, and your metabolism is slowing down. So we knew that as we started this project in 2005, that we wanted to create a program that would allow you to, number one, and most importantly, prevent muscle loss. We had to prevent the muscle loss that was associated with decreasing your calories. And if we could do that, we would then be able to protect metabolism. We would be able to not have an impairing of or a diminishment of your metabolism. And if we did that, then we would be able to enhance the body fat loss. And indeed, all of the weight loss that someone would lose would be body fat. And so we actually created the program. We named it Cinch, and the reason why Cinch is so successful is because it does exactly that. It allows you to keep the muscle that you have, burn the fat that you certainly don't need and don't want, as well as lose all those inches that you're incredibly excited about not having, so that you can fit into the jeans you want, you can look great in your clothes, you can feel good, and by virtue of protecting your metabolism, we're allowing you to essentially get off that dreaded diet cycle. That is the key difference in Cinch that does not exist anywhere else in the world except with Cinch.